The integration of the LVM3 launch vehicle Mark III, also known as GSLV-MK3, Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle Mark III, involves the meticulous process of assembling its various stages, payload, and components to prepare it for launch. Here is a general overview of the integration process for LVM3. Stage assembly. The LVM3 launch vehicle is comprised of multiple stages, each with its own engines and propellant tanks. The lower stages are generally larger and provide the initial thrust, while the upper stages fine-tune the vehicle's trajectory and place the payload into its intended orbit. These stages are manufactured and tested separately before being transported to the launch site. Transportation to launch site. The stages are transported from their manufacturing and testing facilities to the launch site. This transportation process requires specialized vehicles designed to carry and handle the weight of the rocket components. Vertical integration. Once the stages are at the launch site, the process of vertical integration begins. This involves carefully stacking the stages on top of each other in a precise order. Each stage is secured to the one beneath it using strong mechanisms to ensure stability during launch and flight. Payload integration. If there is a payload, such as a satellite, it is integrated with the rocket's upper stage. This is a critical step, and the payload is attached securely to the rocket to withstand the forces and vibrations experienced during launch. Electrical and mechanical connections. During integration, various electrical and mechanical connections are made between the stages, payload, and the rocket systems. These connections allow for data exchange, control, communication, and power distribution. Avionics and instrumentation. The avionics systems, which include guidance, navigation, and control systems, are integrated and tested to ensure proper functioning during the mission. Propellant loading. The rocket's propellants, such as liquid oxygen, LOX, and liquid hydrogen, LH2, are loaded into the propellant tanks of the various stages. This is typically one of the final steps before launch, as the propellants are highly volatile and must be loaded close to the launch time. Final checks and tests. Before the rocket is cleared for launch, a series of comprehensive checks and tests are performed. These tests include functional checks of various systems, communication tests, avionics tests, and more. Countdown and launch. Once all systems are confirmed to be operational, the launch countdown begins. The rocket is fueled, and a series of final checks are conducted in preparation for liftoff. Liftoff and flight. At liftoff, the rocket's engines are ignited, and it begins its journey into space. The rocket ascends through the atmosphere, with the lower stages providing the initial thrust and the upper stages continuing to propel the vehicle toward its intended orbit. Stage separation and payload deployment. As each stage exhausts its propellants, it is jettisoned to reduce weight. Once the final stage reaches its intended orbit, the payload is deployed into space, where it begins its operational mission.